So we're just days away from the release of your 13th studio album, No Rain, No Flowers, which is so exciting. How does it feel? Like, do you ever think about how far you guys have come from the first album to this one when you're creating this, or are you just so in the moment of what you're making?
Yeah, no, I consider that a lot, I mean, because things have definitely changed so much over the last 20 some years. I mean, like, when our
Mm-hmm.
first album came out, we were on this very small label, and I just remember, it came out and, there was no press about it. It was a very gradual thing. After like 6 months, we started getting like reviews and interest from other labels, um, and I can remember the opposite of that. Like when we put out like El Camino, like just how exciting that was. Like it was, you're kind of at the top of the game at that moment, and it was a whole different thing. Now it's much different. It's like we've also been making a lot of music recently. This is like our third album in 4 years.
Wow.
We've been kind of as busy lately, that actually busier, I'd say, than we were. Back in the day, we used to make about an album a year, and lately we've been even busier because like for this album, we're putting 11 songs on the record, but we finished 18 songs. So we, we basically made two albums worth of stuff. And same with the last record. We did 19 songs for that one. So we've just been kind of like really busy. So the way I feel with the record coming out is it's a little bit different because it used to be when the album came out, it kind of felt like, back in the day, like I said, like there'd be
Mm-hmm.
time for this album to kind of embed and like grow. And now I think it's a little different. Like I feel like a lot of times a record comes out and then it's like the whole thing's over. It just
Right.
slips into the void of the mass of thousands of albums coming out every day. So I don't know if we're lucky, it'll resonate with like the fans and maybe people
Mm-hmm.
discover it. But I, you know, I'm an optimist, but it's hard to be.
That's fair. That's a good way to look at things, though. You have to be a little bit pessimistic.
It's hard not to be.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well,
If you're
you
if you're
guys.
if you're if you're interested in culture, like, and you grew up in the '90s when there was a
Mhm.
clear, like, still remnants of a subculture that existed and cool things that you could find. I think it's just much harder now, and I would not want to be a teenager these days. Hopefully
No.
that changes, but
Yeah, it's almost like there's too much of everything out there. So to filter out the things that you truly love, it takes a while, and it's hard to find those things sometimes.
well, yeah, I mean, like, if, like, the whole premise of TikTok, I think, is just it,
Oh,
like the dancing to it. There's no mystique. It's just like, I just don't think it's like, I don't think it's cool on a
yeah.
very, very basic level. So therefore, I've aged myself. I'm clearly Gen Xer trying to make music uh, in the TikTok era.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely tough, but I do feel like people are starting to feel the same way as you and pushing it out of their lives a little more. So hopefully that is the case.
Yeah, I mean, like if I have to see one more video of someone like snapping their fingers and like onions are chopped, and it's just like this just sucks
You're
so
like, this
much. Like,
isn't real life.
yeah, yeah. It's a low vibrational form of entertainment, I think. So I mean,
Totally.
so I find myself just wrapped up in deep like early '90s conspiracy videos lately. Yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it can get a little scary out there sometimes. Now you had mentioned that you guys have obviously been together for a long time. It's been, I think, 24 years at this point that you guys have been a band, the two of you. 24 years is a long time to work with someone. Is there a secret to keeping that good bond between you two?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we've been through it all together.
Mm-hmm.
Riding in long van trips to go play a show to no one. Headlining Coachella, not headlining Coachella years and years before that. Doing the work. But I think ultimately it comes down to Dan and I share like similar version of like of what success means.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a creative, accomplishing stuff that we're creatively proud of. I think we both have a strong work ethic,
Mm-hmm.
and or we have a high tolerance of bullshit. So yeah, we can traverse a lot of shit together.
And what's the creation process like between you two when it comes to creating an album? Do you work best like in the same room? Do you do stuff separately and come together?
I mean, 99% of the time we do together.
Yeah.
Lyrics, not so much. That's more of a Dan endeavor, but always from the always the music together,
Hmm.
the production together, you know, concepting record covers together. But we've learned over the years, like it was very insular when we first started. It was just really the two of us, and not just really, it was just the two of us for the first few albums. And then we started working with Danger Mouse, and when we worked with him on Attack and Release and El Camino and a song or two on Brothers, I mean that and our album Turn Blue, that those were big learning curves for us. We really gleaned a lot of information from him,
Hmm.
and he really kind of honed our ability to collaborate with an outside person, and so we've been definitely kind of taking advantage of that the last 5 6 years, and
Hmm.
inviting people into the studio. So therefore, like when we work on something, it is always different. We might
Yeah.
start a song with a loop, we might start a song with a song title, a jam. It can go any way, but I think the main thread is that we find whatever we are interested in doing that day and work on that.
Hmm.
And if we're not interested in doing something, we don't push it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good way to do it. Now, just some like really quick kind of rapid fire questions for the songs and the album in particular. Do you have a personal favorite song on the album, a personal tie?
I mean, it changes, and I also I'm in a part of the process here where I like I haven't listened to the record in like 3 months. I'll wait till it comes out. But "Make You Mine" was one of my favorite songs on the record.
Hmm.
We wrote that with Scott Storch. He's basically one of the greatest keyboard players I've ever seen play. I think he kind of gets reduced sometimes. His ability kind of maybe comes across as he's more of a character than a musician, but he's both. But primarily, he's a protege. He's like a savant. He's
Hmm.
incredible, and his feel's out of control. And so we wrote that with him and and Desmond Child, and it was just such a fun collaboration to have those two guys like who were drastically different in the studio working together with us. It was a
Hmm.
blast.
That's awesome. Now, what song would you say was the biggest labor of love or the biggest pain in your butt to get through?
I mean,
Not
we
get
kind of
through,
have it.
but.
Yeah, I mean, none of them, because when a song starts becoming a problem, we tend to just give up on it, put it away.
Hmm.
Like I was, we had this one song on for Turn Blue. We had this song that was clearly going to be like the big single. It was one of our better songs that we've ever written, and we just couldn't finish it. Like it just we would
Oh.
pull it up and work on it and work on it, and it just neither one of us were happy with it. And we have a policy that if we're both not there with it, eventually we got to the point where after like a week of working on it, 2 weeks, we just put it away. And so even if something we think has a lot of potential, if it just isn't feeling right, we just close up shop.
Oh, that must be heartbreaking to do.
It was difficult that time because it was
Yeah.
so close, but most of the time it's like I think, and you'll find this with everybody I know who writes songs. It's like if they sit down to write a song, they'll be able to do it.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
like my wife will schedule a songwriting session with a friend, and there's never an instance where she doesn't create a song. You know, so there's always new songs to get. You know,
Yeah,
so
totally.
Dan, we feel the same way. Like you know that's why like we finished 18 songs on this record, but we probably started like 40.
Whew. Wow.
Yeah, but some like maybe we spent 20 minutes on, some maybe 4 hours on, but it gets to a point
Hmm.
where it's it's just we're losing interest in it. And if we're already losing interest in it while we're making it, then it's just time to move on.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You got to go through those ones to get the ones that you know are going to end up on the album.
Yeah.
And then I think we have to wrap up, but I'm going to ask you one quick question if that's okay.
Sure.
I always like to do this with my friends. We do this every year, our rose and thorn of the year. But I want to know your rose and thorn of creating this album. So the best part and the hardest part of creating this last album.
Huh. Man. Okay. Well, The best part is always getting to be in the studio with our friends, you know. So every time we had a friend in there helping us make something, it was exhilarating. And I think, you know, the hardest part is picking the songs that go on it, you know.
Yeah.
That, you know, there's some songs that we left off that I love that we'll figure out what to do with them, but that's that's ultimately the hardest thing. I mean, and we um and also, I think, you know, it's always the record cover that seems to be like the thing where it's like you get to the thing and it's like, okay, we have to do a record cover now that we've just written all these songs and done all this stuff, and it's always a process. You know, so wrapping it up can be
Yeah.
difficult. But I
Putting the
think,
bow on it.
yeah, I think the real hardest thing actually is like making music videos for us because I think I've only ever seen like maybe 20 cool music videos in my life. So maybe 50. It's like the Gen Z TikTok. It's like it very rarely is cool, and no one ever watches them. So
Yeah.
it's like what you know, you find yourself just like, why are we still doing this? I should just be cutting onions and
Yeah.
snapping my finger.
Snapping your fingers and doing TikTok dances.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. Well, I really appreciate you chatting with me today. I know that you got to get moving on to the next thing, but thank you so much. And we're so looking forward to this album.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time.